Hello everyone and good morning. Welcome to Tandem HR's fourth quarter webinar. My name is Sarah Ritter and I am one of the senior HR generalists here at Tandem. Tandem's goal is to simplify your people processes, enabling organizational leaders to maximize return on investment in people and concentrate their efforts on driving organizational success. As HR experts, we aim our quarterly webinars to provide a value add for our client owners and their employees. To omit any static or interruptions, I've placed everyone on mute. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to type them into the questions box on the right side of your screen, and I will follow up with you directly following the presentation. Or alternatively, you may contact me directly or your HR generalist. Today's topic is employee motivation. Everyone agrees that a motivated workplace is important, maybe even essential, to the success of a company. Motivation helps you guide, encourage, challenge, and engage your employees, and motivated employees are definitely more productive. In order to effectively manage, managers need to understand what motivates employees in the context of the jobs that they perform. Although different employees may be motivated by different things, today we are going to discuss some common strategies that you can use in order to motivate your employees by igniting their fire, creating a motivational culture. So let's take a look at what we will be specifically covering in today's webinar. First, we will attempt to define motivation. There are many definitions out there. We will define motivation and identify how it relates to the workplace. Second, what is motivational theory? In order to understand what motivates your employees, you need to have an understanding of some of the underlying psychological theories regarding motivation. We will discuss some of the most popular and how it applies to employers. Thirdly, what does actually motivate employees? Based on the motivational theories, we will discuss some key employee motivators. Finally, we will discuss multiple strategies that you can implement in order to create a motivational culture. Employees are motivated by different things, and at the end of this webinar, you will hopefully be able to identify and use some techniques to help you create that motivational culture that you are looking for. So, is employee motivation important, and why are we talking about it today? If you look at Crane's Best Places to Work list for 2012, you will see that most of them employ motivational techniques in some way, shape, or form. Motivated employees look for better, more efficient ways to do their job, care about their customers, take pride in their work, and are generally more productive. When people aren't motivated, they become less productive, less creative, and less of an asset to your company. So the answer is, employee motivation is important to keep you in business. Motivated employees are more profitable employees, and it doesn't take a whole lot of money to motivate your employees. It's more about fostering relationships between managers and employees, as we will see. Now that we know why employee motivation is important, let's get a clear idea of what being motivated means. There are many definitions out there. Merriam-Webster defines motivation as a motivating force, stimulus, influence, incentive, or drive. For our purposes, we are defining motivation as the inner force that drives employees to accomplish personal and organizational goals. So, motivation comes from within. That's an old expression you have probably heard before. When you think of a motivated person, you may imagine someone who seems to have an inner fire that fuels them. These people seem able to overcome any obstacles in their way. Motivated people are also usually interested in improving their own performance, and often the performance of the organization they are part of. While they seem to be expending a lot of energy, motivation itself can create energy. Think of times in your life when you are especially motivated. How was your personal energy level? My guess is that it would have been extremely high. You may have felt like you could accomplish anything. This brings us to another important point about motivation. You can feel it. Motivation may be partly a way of thinking, but it can often be felt too. Motivated people aren't easily discouraged. In fact, one of the traits of motivation is a commitment to solve problems and overcome obstacles. This doesn't mean that a motivated person will always succeed, but the commitment to make every effort is there. That's why motivated people are more likely to succeed in the end, and motivation is likely to lead to accomplishment. The motivated person does not give up easily and is willing to persevere to accomplish the task at hand or fulfill a goal or dream. However, although motivation is an inner force, it is also extinguished by the environment around us. Motivation can be crushed by failure, but even people who succeed can lose their motivation if they are not respected or rewarded. We all probably know of cases of people who started a job with a great deal of energy and willingness to learn, reached a certain level of accomplishment, and then stopped. Perhaps these people lost their motivation. The fire was dampened or extinguished. But motivation can also be inspired by events, circumstances, or encouraging words or actions. Think of times in your own work experiences where a kind word from a supervisor or some other factor caused the fire of motivation inside you to flare up again. The work environment and people around you is extremely important in either lighting or extinguishing that motivational fire. Now, because motivation among workers can be reduced or heightened by their environment, the steps taken by managers are especially important. That's why it's important to rely on managerial techniques that will heighten motivation, rather than dampen it. Many managers and supervisors will argue that they don't have enough time to motivate or recognize their employees. They're too busy making sure the work gets done, busy dealing with hiring freezes, layoffs, mergers and acquisitions, strikes, budget cuts, rising expenses, product defects, or missed deadlines. The list goes on and on. In terms of priorities, motivation typically comes dead last. While this may be understandable, this is a big mistake. Managing is easier when motivation is a priority, mainly because if your workers are more productive, you're going to be dealing with less problems. By utilizing some of the strategies outlined today, it will help your managers first develop skilled, knowledgeable, and productive workers who can take the initiative and get the job done. You will also be encouraging high-quality performance, with employees working up to their potential. At the same time, you're going to be creating an effective team, with each employee pulling his or her weight and taking pleasure in the way that they function together. You'll also help employees find greater job satisfaction, increasing enthusiasm and involvement, and reducing turnover. Motivated workers will experience personal growth as they improve their skills and meet new challenges. And by using these motivational techniques, you'll also encourage your employees to advance within your organization or by moving into other departments. This strengthens the entire organization, as well as helps to retain good employees. You will also foster the culture of the organization by fostering learning, growth, and achievement. And finally, you will prepare to meet your future needs by creating a more skilled, engaged workforce that wants the organization to succeed. Now, before we get into understanding what exactly motivates employees, we need to understand some of the research that has been done regarding human motivation in general. There are a lot of motivational theories out there, but today, for time's sake, I want to highlight only a couple of the most popular that pertain to our discussion. The first is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow argued that there are 5 levels of human need, and that the lower levels of need to be satisfied before the next higher level would motivate. The second is Hertzberg's dual factor theory. Hertzberg categorized motivation into 2 factors: extrinsic hygiene factors such as pay and job security, and intrinsic motivating factors such as recognition and achievement. Let's take a closer look at both. The first is Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Although Maslow published his findings in 1943, they have influenced motivational thinking ever since. There are 5 levels: physiological, security, social, esteem, and self-actualization. The first, physiological, refers to basic human survival needs, so things like food, water, shelter, air, and warmth. The second, security, refers to the need to feel safe within your environment. This includes emotional as well as physical safety. The third, social needs, refers to the need to feel like you belong to a group. It includes the need for love, companionship, and friendship. The fourth is esteem. This refers to the higher level needed to focus on things such as self-respect and status and recognition from others. Finally, we have the fifth, self-actualization. This level is all about excelling in your life, personal achievement, and reaching your true potential. According to Maslow, the bottom levels of need to be satisfied in order to move on to the next one. In essence, a person cannot focus on the higher steps until the lower ones are met. So, how does this apply to the workplace? For example, the physiological need can be met by a competitive salary, which enables an employee to have food, shelter, and clothing. The security need can be met by safe working conditions and clear work procedures to reduce their stress and anxiety. Clear work expectations also fall here. Also included with security is a healthy work-life balance. Companies that offer programs that promote the work-life balance have more dedicated and loyal employees, as when the employee is happy at home, they're more likely to be happy at work. The social need can be met by fostering positive work relationships and by encouraging team building. Everyone feels the need to belong. By fostering open communication, it helps with this cause. The esteem need can be met by properly executing your performance management program, giving the employees the sense of achievement and self-worth that they are looking for. Positively recognizing staff achievements can go a long way. And finally, we have self-actualization. This refers to providing your employees with challenging and stimulating responsibilities that will help them reach their potential in the workplace. For example, ownership of projects, a chance to work on something they've never done before. In other words, helping your employees to develop and improve. However, it's difficult to assess which of these needs have been met for a particular employee. Each person may require different things to satisfy a need. For example, what constitutes security for one employee may be different for another. Additionally, there is some debate as to the order of the needs, as life experience may alter them. Some people may require a sense of self-worth, an esteem need, before needing to feel a sense of belonging, a social need. Each person's personal circumstances will naturally force them to focus on their immediate needs, and it is these requirements that are the basis of human motivation. Overall, we can look to Maslow to get an idea of the types of things that people are motivated by, and combine these thoughts with other concepts to truly motivate our employees. Next, let's talk about Hertzberg's dual factor theory. Hertzberg felt that satisfied employees would be productive employees. His theory revolves around two factors: extrinsic or hygiene factors, such as money, and intrinsic or motivating factors, such as recognition. According to Hertzberg, extrinsic factors are sometimes referred to as dissatisfiers. These have the potential to make employees unsatisfied, such as salary, working conditions, and adequate supervision. Hertzberg thought that the absence of these factors can create dissatisfaction, but that they don't contribute to the overall motivation or satisfaction with a job. Remedying the causes of dissatisfaction will not create satisfaction. By eliminating the causes of dissatisfaction, you may create peace among your employees, but not necessarily make them any more satisfied or motivated. On the other hand, intrinsic factors referred to as motivators, such as achievement, recognition, responsibility levels, the work itself, and promotions. These are factors that contribute to that inner fire that we referenced before. However, adding a bunch of intrinsic factors won't necessarily mean job satisfaction. Hertzberg believed that in order for the motivating factors to be at their full potential, that the dissatisfiers need to be minimized. So both need to be addressed when looking to motivate your employees. So how does this apply when trying to create a motivational culture? According to Hertzberg, you want to look at eliminating the dissatisfiers first. Just as examples, fix poor company policies, train your supervisors in effective management, ensure that salaries are competitive, and keep an open line of communication to foster the sense of job security. There is no point in moving on until you've addressed these underlying work environment issues, and this poor man doesn't have to take a hammer to his head anymore. Then, you can focus on what really motivates people and fuel their inner fire. Provide opportunities for advancement, recognize employee contributions, and give creative and challenging work, and also provide the chances for employees to develop themselves by working on new projects. The bottom line here is that intrinsic factors relate more to what the person does and are more long-term, while the extrinsic factors relate more to the situation in which the person does what he or she does, and these are more short-term. As we were talking about earlier, motivating factors come from within, and extinguishing factors come from the environment around us. You can give someone a raise or bonus, but what happens when that person gets bored with their job or doesn't get along with their manager? My guess is that they won't be with you for very much longer, or they may just do the bare minimum to get by. So, how do these two theories correlate? If you look at Maslow's hierarchy, you'll see that the bottom of the needs hierarchy correlates with the external environmental factors, right in line with Hertzberg's extrinsic hygiene factors. As you make your way up Maslow's hierarchy, you transition into the more intrinsic motivational factors outlined by Hertzberg. As it is with all theories, neither has been scientifically proven, but what I wanted to portray is how they have contributed to the thoughts we have about motivating employees at work. Employers need to focus on fulfilling employees' basic needs first, such as salaries, good working conditions and benefits, and then think about what internally motivates someone, things that light someone's fire. So, what does motivate employees exactly? We've seen the theories and some examples, but most employers' tendency is to focus on the extrinsic factors. Motivational efforts also seem to be focused on problem employees, but the fact is that even your best performers need to be motivated to continue to work up to their potential. It's important to keep in mind that motivators vary from person to person. What motivates one employee might not work with another. That's why you need to get to know your employees and find out what actually motivates each of them. If you have trouble determining an employee's motivators, ask that person to tell you what would make them more excited about their job. People are generally the best judge of what motivates them. If an employee seems hesitant or unsure, suggest several different motivators and get their reactions. Many times, using a combination of motivational techniques yields the best results. You may also find that you need to change motivators when an employee's circumstances or goals change. Life experience is a large component as to what motivates us. If you ask employees what they really want from their jobs, they'd probably mention many of the things you now see on the screen. Employees in all types of work express these common desires, although what is at the top of their list may change as they gain new skills, attain higher levels of achievement, and grow older. For example, interesting work is more appealing to older employees, and as an employee's income increases, generally, money is not as big of a motivator. Overall, employees want good supervision from a leader who can guide and direct their activity, clear goals and expectations that are mutually understood and agreed upon, accurate and timely feedback that fairly represents their performance and helps them improve it, interesting work, or at least the opportunity for interesting assignments from time to time, challenges that will help them learn, grow, and test their talents and stretch their abilities, more responsibility and the chance to take on important tasks and show what they can do, in addition to recognition for their efforts in the form of praise, rewards, and advancement. Also, they want accurate information about what's going on in the department and the whole organization as a whole. They also want fair treatment in evaluation, recognition, responsibilities, and so on. Opportunities for growth and advancement are also important. And finally, listen to their good ideas and their bad ones. They just want to know that their voices are being heard. Never ignore an idea or complaint when your employee comes to you with one. If the idea can't be implemented, explain to them why. It will help them learn and grow from within the organization. Now, let's focus on how to motivate employees. As a manager, you can demonstrate motivation in many ways and foster it in others. To motivate your employees to work harder and smarter, you need to help them see how they fit into the big picture and recognize their parts in the organization's mission. Give them concrete examples. For example, by sending those reports on a weekly basis, the company is able to assess each client's profitability. Next are goals. People bond by a shared commitment to goals. You can encourage this commitment in your employees by setting the example and by being committed to the department and organizational goals yourself, and also expecting commitment from each employee. Next, to do their jobs effectively, employees need direction. They need to know the parameters of successful performance. This is why the new hire orientation and performance management processes are so important. They need a leader to guide their activities and ideas to successful completion. In other words, they need a mentor. Also, to successfully motivate employees, they must know that you care about them. They need to know that you are there for them when they need support and assistance, when they experience problems, or just want you to listen to their ideas. When an employee is talking to you, they should feel as if they are the most important person in the room. Accessibility is a cornerstone of motivation. You don't want to be cold with your employees or too busy to care. Open door policies should be the only policy. Finally, you can motivate your workers only if they trust you. They need to know that you stand behind your promises, that you can be relied on under any circumstance, and that you place a high priority on their welfare. On that note, one of the most important things effective leaders can do to motivate employees, regardless of their leadership style, is to build credibility and trust with everyone they work with. Some tips for building credibility and trust are always setting a good example. Leaders never say, "Do as I say, not as I do." They do as they expect their employees to do. Also, keep your commitments. Nothing destroys credibility quicker than when someone in a leadership position fails to make good on commitments. It's better not to make a promise or commitment in the first place than to fail to deliver. Always tell the truth. Of course, sometimes you must keep confidences or be judicious about the information you share, but make sure what you do say is true. Once you're caught in a lie, your credibility will always be in question. And be fair too. If you want employees to trust you, you have to have their best interests at heart. You have to treat them all fairly and provide them with equal opportunity. Finally, to build credibility and trust, you also have to admit your mistakes and encourage employees to do the same. We're all human. We all make mistakes. The successful leader admits those mistakes, learns from them, and moves on. Now, let's consider the work environment. In order to truly motivate your employees, you need to ensure that those extrinsic dissatisfiers are minimized. Have you ever walked into an office where everyone looked upset? It's hard to get things done if everyone is scowling at you. You may be able to prevent some of the problems associated with challenging employees simply by creating a positive work environment in which all employees can feel comfortable, valued, and productive. So, how do you do this? First, encourage mutual respect between coworkers and between your employees and you. Also, give employees a sense of belonging and the adequate support, and provide the resources that they need to meet standards and requirements. And be a role model for professional behavior. Show your employees by the way you treat them how you want them to treat one another. Lastly, provide positive feedback and praise at every opportunity. People need to know they're valued and appreciated. Some difficult employees may just be acting out because they don't feel that their efforts are sufficiently appreciated by you. Next, let's take a closer look at each of these and how you can use these concepts to accomplish a motivational culture. The first is RESPECT. Aretha Franklin had the right idea. Everyone needs to feel important. To the extent that you can make each employee who works for you feel important, you will be providing considerable motivation for your employees to work hard and succeed. The best way to make people feel important is to show that you value and respect them. Remember to always treat your employees as professionals as well. Respect their efforts, expertise, and talents. It's not necessary for you to necessarily like every one of your employees, but it is essential for you to respect them all. Get to know your employees as individuals. This tells them that they are more than just one of the crowd. It shows that you respect them and care about them. The benefits that flow from this kind of working relationship are highly motivational. Get out from behind your desk. For example, do an office walkthrough just to see how everyone's day is going. Finally, when people work hard and do a good job, they want someone to notice and give them a pat on the back. Show respect and appreciation for your employees' work. Let them know how important their efforts are to you. Piggybacking off of respect, everyone needs to belong in some degree to a group. It's human nature. You can make use of this quality in the workplace by creating a team spirit among your employees. Make everyone feel that he or she is an important member of the team with a significant role to play and an essential contribution to make. Managers can also coach their team members to provide encouragement to one another and make sure that the team is welcoming, both to new members and to longtime members. Employees can motivate one another in a climate of support, where high standards are met through cooperation and respect, rather than competition. Make sure that the employees not only has support from you as the manager, but the physical resources as well. Nothing will turn a good employee bitter and dissatisfied faster than having to struggle to do a good job without your support and the necessary resources. Have you ever seen the show Undercover Boss? If you have, you may have seen how shocked some of these leaders have been to discover just how little support their employees have. I remember one episode where the boss discovered that a delivery driver had no GPS. By providing the driver with a GPS, it increased the driver's efficiency because he was able to pinpoint the addresses that he had never been to before faster, therefore increasing his efficiency and performance. Involvement is another key to the employee's sense of belonging. The more involved employees are in their work, the more motivated they are to work hard and perform well. Allow your employees to participate in planning, decision-making, and problem-solving. Make them active members of the team, making important contributions. Also, delegate. Putting someone in charge of achieving a result is a huge motivator, and make them accountable for the result. Lastly, creating an atmosphere in which employees feel ownership for their work is also a successful motivational technique. People want to feel proud of their work. They want to be trusted to make the right decision and take the appropriate action to achieve positive, meaning results. The next way to create a motivational work environment is to be a role model for your employees. Do unto others as others would do unto you is a phrase that is essential when it comes to creating a motivational culture. How many of you would take your manager seriously if they paid no attention to you? Simply behaving professionally yourself and increasing your communication with employees will in turn increase their motivation to succeed and also help to build that cohesive team we were discussing before by setting the example. Next, be approachable. More face time with employees can also make them feel more comfortable approaching you with problems, which will not only increase their job satisfaction, but can also cut down on errors. Keep your office door open and encourage other managers to do the same. Also, discourage gossip. It seems so harmless, the water cooler chats, the speculation about this or that. However, nothing can ruin a positive work environment faster than the rumor mill. Gossip is often negative and embarrassing to the person being spoken about and can increase conflict and strain team relationships. Discourage gossip among your employees and never participate it in yourself. If you hear of gossip, nip it in the bud and let offenders know the impact that it has on the office. On that note, and we have referenced this before, but being upfront and honest with employees has become even more crucial during tough economic times, as employees are worried about their job safety and they can be distracted, unproductive, and not entirely committed to their work. Keeping employees informed about important issues and changes affecting the company will make them feel more at ease and motivated to perform. As we have seen throughout the presentation, recognition is a key component into creating a motivational culture. People want to know that they have done something right or when they have gone above and beyond the line of duty. Recognition doesn't have to be between the employee and manager only. In fact, public recognition is a great way to motivate many employees and is relatively inexpensive. People like others to know about their success. Employee of the Month programs, newsletter notices, intranet posts, and bulletin board announcements are all effective means of using public praise to enhance performance. Not only will the employee feel more satisfied, but it also sets an example for other employees to encourage them to work harder. Money, of course, is always a welcome form of recognition. To the extent that you have control over raises, bonuses, and promotions, you can use this tool very effectively to motivate some of your employees. The key word here is some, and money should not be the only way that you are looking to motivate. Employee appreciation programs are also a good way to motivate employees. At Tandem, we have an Employee Appreciation Week each quarter. During these weeks, Tandem puts on events such as cornhole competitions, catered breakfasts, Wii bowling or kite flying at lunch, if the weather cooperates, and silly relay races. One year we had to spin our coworkers, who volunteered of course, on an office chair, and then the dizzy coworker had to run about 25 yards to the finish line. Outside the safety aspects, with no injuries thankfully, these types of events bring everyone together, and besides showing employees that you appreciate their hard work by providing them with a fun break, it also helps you to build a cohesive team environment by encouraging collaboration among coworkers and different departments. There are also many other types of rewards per se that employees find motivational for little to no cost. For example, try giving $5 gift cards on the employee's birthday, or an extra PTO day in recognition of a job well done. Also, periodic chair massages at the office. We also do this here at Tandem, and I can tell you it definitely is relaxing. Company logo items are nice too, but instead of boring items like pens or mouse pads, think of fun things that they will actually use, such as coffee mugs, beach towels, t-shirts, umbrellas, gym bags, etc. Most printing companies will give a discount for bulk orders, and you may get some low-cost marketing out of the deal as well, if it's something that they take outside their office. In addition to recognizing and rewarding your employees, there are other inexpensive ways to incent your employees. Most revolve around providing a good work-life balance, which can help satisfy the security need from Maslow's hierarchy. For example, telecommuting and flexible work schedules, of course if feasible based on the employee's job duties, can improve worker satisfaction and motivation by improving an employee's work-life balance, making employees happier and more productive. It doesn't mean that they work less time, it just means that the work is done outside the normal 9-to-5 business day. At the same time, these types of incentives can also decrease overhead costs by eliminating some of the costs that go into having an employee at the office, such as office space, electricity, supplies, and transportation reimbursements. Family activities also help with the work-life balance by bringing the employee's family into his or her work life. From family movie nights to bring your child or pet to work days, you can show both the employee and their family that you are committed to providing them with a workplace that values them. Wellness programs also show your employees that you care about their own personal safety and well-being. By implementing a wellness program, not only are you telling your employees that you care, you are helping your own bottom line. How much productivity and money did you lose in 2012 due to employee sick days? Wellness programs don't have to be about posters and telling employees how to live and not live their lives. A proper wellness program can educate your employees and show that you are willing to invest in them as individuals. Tandem does offer custom wellness programs. Contact your HR generalist if you are interested. If you take some time to get creative, providing your employees with incentives, recognition, and rewards that they deserve won't have to break the bank. Keep in mind, however, that whenever you put a program in place, it is useless without the other components that we have and will discuss, and not all programs will work for every company. As we have said, they need to be tailored to your specific employees and organizational goals, and definitely need to be implemented properly. If you are interested in putting a recognition or incentive program in place, contact your Tandem HR generalist and they will be able to advise you. Now that we have focused on what you can do to satisfy those extrinsic work environment factors, let's take a look at how you can leverage the intrinsic factors. A properly designed and executed performance management program is the keystone to achieving this. It is essential to build that respectful relationship between managers and employees, and can set attainable goals and give employees opportunities for advancement. When done right, a performance management program can be a great tool to foster a motivational culture and guide your employees down their career paths. Performance management is anything that a manager does, both negative and positive, that affect an employee's performance on the job. Ideally, a proper performance management program should include all of the components listed on the screen. It's not only the annual performance review, but actually a year-round process that includes communication of your expectations, day-to-day feedback, counseling and disciplinary action, and obviously, annual performance reviews, which make up the cornerstone. As we have emphasized throughout the webinar, effective communication is essential to a satisfied workforce. Communication of your expectations is a key piece of this. Whether via new hire orientation, the employee handbook, or reviewing of proper procedures, employees need to know what your expectations are from their first day of work. Make sure that they are aware of company policies and procedures. Review the employee handbook with them and outline important policies such as anti-harassment, confidentiality, attendance, vacation, etc. Also ensure that they are aware of any company-specific processes or procedures, such as safety procedures. Second, review their job descriptions and what your expectations as their manager are regarding their job duties. When reviewing the job description, be clear in your expectations. Review the job description point by point. If there is any specific information that needs to be clarified about the job duty, explain it now. Ensure that they are aware of any time frames involved with their job duties as well. For example, you must have these reports submitted on a weekly basis. The bottom line is, make sure that the employee fully understands what the company's expectations are. Ask if they have any questions. By laying out the ground rules now, you may avoid potential problems in the future. Make sure that they are aware of what they need to do to be successful. If they don't know where they're going, they won't know how to get there. In addition to setting your expectations when it comes to employee behavior, it's also important to provide performance management guidance to employees on a continuous basis, not just on their first day or at the annual review. This is key in gaining the employee's trust and building a successful manager-employee relationship. Openly praise positive behavior and good performance. Recognition is key. For example, "Great job on that presentation, Jane." Offer the opportunity to discuss performance as issues arise. For example, "When I don't get that report in a timely manner, it causes X, Y, and Z. How can we correct this?" By addressing the issues informally first, you may avoid having to move to more serious action later. This also promotes the mutual respect that we were mentioning earlier. You are not just presenting them with a piece of paper with no notice, but rather trying to work with them as a partner. Also, encourage employees to ask you for feedback, particularly if they are not sure that they are on the right track, or if they have questions about any aspect of their work. This can be most helpful and effective if you, as a manager, make yourself approachable and have a genuine concern for the employee's well-being and development. If they don't trust you, they will be less likely to come to you with problems, which may compound the situation in the future. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of this step. By providing feedback on a continuous basis, the employee will know exactly where they stand. However, if an employee's performance is not in line with your expectations, and you have effectively communicated your expectations and informally addressed the problem, formal corrective action may be needed. Steps for progressive discipline are verbal warning, written warning, final warning, and/or suspension. Please note that this should be a last resort. I'm only mentioning it because it is a part of a proper performance management program. In order to create a motivating collaborative culture, you should try to work through any problems informally and through open channels of communication first. Discipline should only be used as a last resort for problem colleagues who fail to respond to other positive forms of motivation. When you do have to discipline, make it clear that resorting to discipline is not punishment by you or the organization, but in fact a consequence of the employee's own performance and behavior. Definitely keep it behaviorally based. Telling an employee they have a bad attitude accomplishes nothing. That's a perception that you have. What did they do that contributed to that bad attitude? As discussed previously, be sure that the employee is aware of exactly what your expectations are in regards to the behavior. Additionally, once you have warned an employee, be sure to use the positive motivator of individual recognition to encourage improved performance. Discipline alone is rarely enough to turn a problem person around. For example, if Jane was written up for tardies and then she was on time for a couple weeks following her write-up, acknowledge that. Say, "Good job, Jane, you've been on time for the past 2 weeks." Tandem is also here to help if you feel that you need help to take this step. Just let us know and we will be happy to help. Finally, annual performance reviews are the cornerstone. Performance reviews help a manager guide employee development and build that mutual trust. Giving employees a dedicated time to speak up regarding their job, the department, or the company, when done correctly, is a huge motivator. They will be motivated to perform their best because they know they will be recognized and rewarded for their effort. Annual reviews are typically the most emphasized part of the performance management process, but to be effective should be used in conjunction with the other performance management steps outlined. As previously mentioned, employees can perform well only if they have adequate feedback and clearly defined goals. Performance appraisals are a tool for accomplishing these tasks. They offer you an official way to first guide employee progress and give them opportunities to advance and succeed. Remember that daily feedback and informal counseling we were discussing before? The annual review is a time to formally sit down and talk with the employee about the progress they have made in regards to these items. Effective performance appraisals continue to refine the initial job description and what your expectations are as the employee gains experience and learns new skills, therefore developing them as an individual. Also, employees gain clear direction regarding what is expected of them and their role in the company's overall goals through the goal-setting process. This is key in giving the opportunity for employees to grow and advance within the company. And since the employees get a dedicated formal time to sit down with their manager and discuss their job, the appraisal also gives the employee the opportunity to give feedback on their job, their department, or the company. Also where they would like to go and what projects they would like to work on. Giving an employee a dedicated time to speak about such things, when done correctly, is a huge motivator. They will be motivated to perform their best because they know that they will be rewarded, and that you want to see them succeed, and that they have the opportunities in the company to develop and grow. A point to note about the performance appraisal meeting is that because this is a dedicated time to meet with their manager, make sure that you make the time for them. You should not be answering your phone, checking your email, etc. unless it's a true emergency. The employee needs to feel that you are truly committed to helping them improve their performance. Think about how you would feel if you were having a serious conversation with your manager who kept answering their phone. Would you feel important to them? On that note, setting performance goals should be a large part of the annual review. It gives you the opportunity to coach your employees by discussing their career advancement and developmental opportunities, which is a key intrinsic motivator. However, to be motivational, it's important that performance goals be set individually with each employee. Mutual understanding and agreement is essential. Find out what the employee wants to work on, what they want to achieve, and where they want to go in the organization, and then base their goals on these things. This way, employees are choosing their own personal motivators. The most successful motivational goals are those that are set high enough to be challenging, but reasonable enough to be achieved. Additionally, all the goals that you set with employees should be SMART: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. In regards to specific, what specific behaviors are you expecting that employee to achieve? Measurable: how will you know that it's been achieved? Is it attainable? Is it actually realistic for the employee to achieve the goal in the time allotted? And relevant: does the goal actually further the employee in their career? And lastly, there's time-bound. What is the time frame for completion? Although these goals should be individually focused, also try to align the employee goals with company objectives as best you can. Help the employee understand how their individual goals are impacting the company. And lastly, ensure that the employee has the tools and resources to reach the required goals. If the employee doesn't have the resources, the goal is not attainable. Now, all this is great, but how can you make sure that the goals are going to motivate them? Let's talk more about some ideas for goals that will light their inner fire. The first step is to take the time to challenge your employees when considering their goals. Not all jobs are extremely interesting, but if you wish to motivate your employees and keep them involved in their work, you must try to make every job, even the most routine tasks, more interesting. There are many ways to do this, including challenging your employees to find better and more efficient ways to perform their routine job duties. You can also cross-train and rotate less interesting jobs when possible. Even a dull job is more interesting when it's new to an employee. For example, offer a rotation in another department as one of their goals for the year. As a requirement of that rotation, ask the employee to provide recommendations for improvements to the department or the job that they performed. Also, broaden an employee's responsibilities to include planning, problem solving, quality control, or other more challenging aspects. And expose them to new experiences. New experiences are always interesting, whether or not we like them. When people are exposed to work they have not done before, they are forced to think and act in new ways, which ultimately is stimulating, satisfying, and growth-inducing. Problem solving is also a great motivator. People like to fix things. They like to solve puzzles or make things work. Once employees have been given a chance to solve a problem, they often look forward to tackling another one. And lastly, although most employees will welcome challenges, some may be intimidated at first. They may express a desire to stick with the safe and familiar. For some of these people, you may need to rely on other motivators, but others just may be cautious or afraid of failure. You can bring these people along slowly, giving them challenges that they feel they can handle, gradually increasing the difficulty and importance of the challenge through time. If you are interested in improving your company's performance management program, talk to your Tandem HR generalist. They would be happy to help. And here's a final thought to keep in mind. Motivating employees is not something you do one time and then forget about. Instead, it's a process that is always in action and that needs to be adjusted for each employee. That's why it's important to continue to listen to your employees, monitor their performance, and support and recognize them. Motivation should be a part of everything you do, both as a manager and a supportive employee. Creating a motivational culture is not a one-stop shop, but a collection of initiatives to help improve employee job satisfaction. If you would like more information regarding creating a motivational culture, your Tandem HR generalist is here to help. Reach out to us for ideas and initiatives that may work well for your organization. We have gone over a lot of information today. So, in summary, employee motivation is important to keep you in business. Motivation helps you guide, encourage, challenge, and engage your employees. And motivated employees are definitely more productive. As a recap, here are some key takeaways. Motivation comes from the inside. Creating a motivational culture can create energy within your organization and challenge your employees to perform to their fullest. However, motivation can be extinguished by the work environment. Focus on creating a work environment that promotes collaboration, trust, and respect, and you can foster higher performance among your employees. Also, what motivates is going to differ from employee to employee. Make sure you take the time to get to know your employees. This will help you determine what will best motivate them. You may have to tailor some approaches to specific employees. Also ensure that you utilize your performance management program effectively in motivating your employees. When done right, it can be the cornerstone of creating an intrinsically motivational culture. Finally, remember that motivation is a process. It's not something that you do one time and then forget about. It's a collection of initiatives geared toward your employees to increase their job satisfaction. So the question is, are you ready to light your employees' motivational fire? Finally, for those of you seeking recertification credits, this program has been approved for one general recertification credit hour towards the PHR, SPHR, and GPHR recertification through the HR Certification Institute. The program ID is noted on the screen. Please be sure to note the program ID number on your recertification application form. For more information about certification or recertification, please visit the HR Certification Institute website at www.hrci.org. I'll give you a moment to write it down, or a recording of this program will be available on demand at www.tandemhr.com. With respect for your time, we will be answering all questions asked today with a personal email to you within the next 48 hours. If you have any further questions, please type them into the question box on the right side of your screen, or feel free to contact me directly as well. I would like to remind everyone that since motivation is something that has to be specifically tailored to your organization's culture, we encourage you to contact your Tandem HR generalist for any specific questions that you may have. We are always here to help. I want to thank everybody for the time that you have spent with us today. I hope that each of you have a wonderful day and rest of your week. And happy holidays!